Hey YouTube, it's your boy Ken Riquet, aka the Optometry Prodigy. And guys, this week's video we have the continuation of the talk that I did with my family before we dealt with pathology, low vision. And guys, today we'll be dealing with perception. So guys, I hope you guys enjoy the video. It's just a general thing on eyes and perception, and then we also look at perception from a lifestyle perspective. So here we go guys into this week's video. Enjoy. And in this aspect, it's not necessarily something we do deeply in terms of what we call clinical optometry. So it's not the everyday thing that we would dive into with the general public or whatever, but it's more might more do it in research and all these other areas. But also I'm bringing it up here because at the end of the day it's application in the general area of life as well. And perception at the end of the day, some of us will know, is basically how you would interpret something, or how aware you are, how, or rather your awareness of something and how you interpret that thing. And one of the big, we have some big words here, but one of the things I would say is a conscious expression of neural information from the visual system. So basically, in the eyes, you take in all this information that you're seeing from outside, and it's being interpreted in the visual system. And at the end of the day, sometimes this is a deemed an individual or a unique thing to the person, because some of us would see things differently. Um, Sometimes in terms of our vision. And what affects this? The shape of an object, the distance it is, the speed that it is, the color that it is, possibly lighting around you, and even diseases or conditions in the eye or affecting the eye, that as well would change the way that you perceive something or that you see something. And let me just ask someone here. Can anyone tell me what they see in this image here? Oh, okay, perfect. Right, exactly. So, hmm so at the end of the day, when we change our focus, or depending on the color of the thing or the lighting around it, etc., we perceive it as different things. And how about this one? Okay, anybody else see anything different? Correct. Yeah. So you see, that's the point I wanted to make too. You see, everybody have some kind of different. They see it. The first thing they see might be different. You see the old lady. This is her chin. This is her nose. This is her hair. Right. And and that's just this thing I want to show you there, the perception. It might change depending on your focus on all of these things. Different factors go into perceiving something. And this is something as well. It depends on your position or your experience, and this comes back to things in life as well. Depending on your position, simple thing as a company. Somebody who is at the head of a company, CEO, etc., they perceive the company differently than possibly someone who is working lower down in the hierarchy. The CEO might have be this visionary person, etc. The other person might be someone who's just trying to get by using the job, etc. They may not push with the same thing as the CEO and on their level of being optimistic and all of these kind of things. Another thing that it affects the perception is experience. If you are doing something for years, let's just go back to the simple thing as life. If you are here 50, 60 years, and that the youngsters 10, 15 years, the perception of things would be different as well. Culture, language, all of these things affects the way we perceive things as well. We have our Caribbean culture, etc. down here. If we go somewhere else, we do the same things. It may be perceived differently, it may be seen differently. A language. I've had the opportunity to go to Bulgaria. When I was in Bulgaria, I was saying "ne" for no, but when I went across in Greece and I said "ne," it meant yes over there. So there's a difference in terms of the perception as well. But the problem that sometimes comes in now in the world, the differences of the way different people perceive different things, it often leads to division. And that's where we have the problem coming in. This is where we have certain conflicts appearing. Certain times, only when you sit down afterwards and you talk to somebody, then you see their perspective of how things are. And there's some scriptures to show you certain things. Ephesians 4, verse 11 to 12 says, "And he gave some apostles, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors, and some teachers, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of ministry, and for the edifying of the body of Christ." You see, different offices here, but at the end of the day, going back to the same purpose. First Corinthians verse 12, chapter 12, verse 4 to 6. Now they have diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit, and there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord, and there are diversities of operations, but it's the same God that worketh all in all. So at the end of the day, again, set of differences might be different perceptions as well. Come back to the same God, and I'm dealing within Christianity alone. I'm not saying anything outside of that, but within Christianity. Um, as my pastor would have mentioned many times, he talk about a simple thing as the eye, the purpose of the eye and what the eye is supposed to be doing, etc. The eye is in, as we say, in the face or in the head. But some people, there might be an eye, like we say an eye in a company, it might be the eye. But you want to do what somebody else doing, and you want to be placed under the foot. You want to be able to walk the company a certain direction, etc. But that's not your purpose there. Um, Different parts of the bodies we function in different ways. We have to stick with that way, or let's say purpose at the end of the day. One of the things that is important here is to view the world through the lenses of God's grace, and that's one way that we can all be able to perceive things in the same way. Once we look at things through God's grace, um, comes back to the aspect of forgiveness and all of these different things. Some people, something may have happened with someone, we may not have forgiven them, but if we look through God's grace, look at the things we have done and we have been forgiven. So it comes back to looking through grace. Things would be much, much, much easier that way. So that's the perception aspect there, and that's basically the ending of everything. So we dealt with the pathologies, we dealt with the low vision, and we dealt with perception. Again, don't forget the YouTube channel. There's more content there as well. The Optometry Prodigy. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, the Optometry Prodigy.